So my week was awful
Nice.
because of the heavy workload. Now I think I'm going to say it every weekend, but
I see.
next week maybe something changed.
Will
First,
change. Why is that?
because I'm going to have holidays.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, but my toothache just soared. With paleo just soared.
Uh-huh. Swallowed. Well, something can swallow, become bigger, but
Like
my,
I swallow.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know about it. Yeah, I swallow.
Yeah.
So that's why I have to. I had to make an operation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I had to have.
actually, I had to have. Yes.
Yeah, because you are not a surgeon. You didn't do
Yeah,
it
yeah.
yourself.
They did it for
Thank.
you. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and after that, I came down with a cold. I think
Oh my God, for you.
you need
Mhm.
five. So that's why, Natalia, I just couldn't manage to type. I've written the
Uh-huh. So don't worry. You can do it a bit later. I got Nasta's paper. I'll be back with the feedback on Monday. Well, so take your time. Mm-hmm.
thank you, really, thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but what about your tooth? Is it getting better now?
I don't know why I have a temperature because of the tooth or because of the cold. So that's why I can't just decide is it okay or not.
Mm,
But it's definitely the pain is lower.
lower. Mm-hmm.
Lower, lower.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I hope you will feel completely recovered by the end of the week, well, next week at least. Uh-huh.
I hope.
Okay. So, Nastya, what about you? So, how was your week? Mm-hmm.
Talking about my week, I will be boasting, taking into consideration Kate news.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is quite the same. And this fact makes me happy. I'm the happiest one in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And
So, share, well, the positive. We need some positive news, I think, because there is a lot of negative news. And
for me, one of the most positive things that I managed to do my homework, to watch some methodological workshops.
mm,
And next week is going to be a shorter one because we're going to have celebration. And
mhm.
even on the 27th of February, I'm
Mhm.
I will not.
I'm
I'm
not
not
going.
going.
If you,
I'm not going
if,
to work.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Well, so you're not going to have classes for several days in a row.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
only 3 working days next week.
Uh-huh.
That is
Uh,
all.
what about the Saturday? Will you be able to have a class, or would you like me to postpone it? So are you going to greet your gentlemen? So any plans? So what do you think, ladies?
We do not have any special.
Mm-hmm.
For
So,
me,
Kate, what do
yeah,
you say?
as for me, I'm not sure, but now, by this day, by this
Mhm.
moment, I don't have any plans.
Okay, if you have any, let me know in advance. So I'm not sure if we can, reschedule it because my weekdays are busy, and I believe Kate's weekdays are busy. But well, we can, you know, have a longer, break and then resume classes later. So the way, well, I planned it for the next week, but if something comes up, So let me know. Okay. Well, and like the noun, Kate, for you, the noun would be swelling, like
Mm.
swallow, and the noun will be the condition when something is becoming larger. Yeah, it could be well, I'm looking at the dictionary, like so the full left here with painful swelling above your eye, like it's usually about skin or something, you know, because of infection, well, or maybe well, when something got swollen, so the verb is to swell. Yeah.
So, the verb with O or with
No, no,
E?
no. Swell
Ah,
got
I see.
swollen, the third form.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When become larger or bigger or rounder, swell, and then will be well, the third form would be swollen.
Mm.
Okay,
Okay.
just to make sure that we are on the same page. Okay, right. Did you have time to interact, to talk?
We had a meeting on
Mm.
Thursday,
Mhm.
and we discussed the listening part, and
Mhm.
we were talking about ideal holiday destination.
Mhm. And what is your let's say perfect destination? Well, I'm not talking about a particular sport, but what does it include?
So by this period of time, we have decided that we need pristine coast beaches
Beaches,
with
pristine
just
beaches. Uh-huh.
just turquoise water
Mhm.
and just relax. And so both of us really enjoy uh, uh, active holidays like go sightseeing and explore different ancient places, spots. But now we just could even imagine something peaceful and calm
Mhm.
without
Capture the sense of peace
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and silence.
Yeah, probably. I see. Okay. Well, and speaking of the recording and the details that you have heard, so well, how would you feel if you were you know, traveling along the river in the middle of nowhere, or you know, just in the heart of a jungle? Nastya, how would you feel if you experienced all those sounds and you know, face all the challenges he faced?
So we both agreed that we would enjoy dense vegetation, tropical what? Tropical weather. All these one-off environment and then touch wilderness. Because it's for sure a unique place, but none of us wants to face the challenges, and we wouldn't enjoy the mosquito, the situation when you are alone and you need to put a lot of effort in order to go down the white waters to face rapid, and that is the only disadvantage of holiday. Maybe if it will be a guide tour,
yeah
If it
now
if it
it is.
it was
if it
yes
is a guide tour, we
If
will
it's
it
real,
was,
if
it's
you're at a
real,
plane, if it's real, it will be great.
it will be great. Yeah.
Or, as Kate's suggesting, hypothetically,
If
if
it was,
it was a guided tour, I would definitely enjoy
I
it.
would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Well, if we think of this untouched wilderness, what would be the scariest thing for you? Well, when we consider being in the areas completely untouched, what would be the scariest? Insects, animals, being alone? Kate, what do you say?
So as for me, so by the way, yesterday I watched film Hunger Game. I'm not sure with my
Hunger.
Hunger
Uh-huh.
Game. So and I just thought about experience of this man too while watching film.
Mhm.
And I just realized that it is the most difficult thing to be alone. Yeah,
Mhm.
just to face with all these challenges and try to overcome them by yourself
Mhm.
without any support. I
Mhm.
think the most difficult stuff. And of course, insects could be really very poisonous.
Mhm.
And I don't know anything about biology of wildlife. I don't know
Mhm.
how
Yeah.
do I say this. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So that's why I don't know what maybe plant I can use in order to prevent
Mhm.
this. Even.
Uh-huh. Well, how can you say that in English using, you remember this inverted sentences? I know very little, I know nothing. No way could I. Can
No
you
way
finish?
could I
Uh-huh.
prevent
Uh-huh.
prevent the consequences from biting insects.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Or no way could I survive, yeah, in such weather conditions or in such tropical forests.
Wildlife.
Yeah. You remember it was actually, I don't remember, I read the books. I don't remember the films well. In Hunger Games, they changed the rules and the climate zones changed for the participants of the games. Do you remember that?
In the second one, yes. They
Well,
were doing
they did it in the second, I think in the last book as well. Anyway, my point here is that you read about landscape features. Which landscapes would be the most difficult to, to deal with? Maybe not to survive, but to deal with. So you remember this page 160 with the description of different landscapes. So if you had to face or to see something challenging, like physically challenging or mentally challenging, emotionally challenging, which landscapes do you think would be more difficult to deal with?
So
Definitely the most enjoyable would be pristine beaches
Yes,
and
yeah.
turquoise waters. I've heard that. So now let's focus a little bit on some other language. Which would be
I don't
Nastya,
want
what do you
to
say?
So, but I think for me the most difficult will be
Hypothetical would be, yeah.
would be to survive in an arid desert. Because I just can't even imagine how it is to live without any water, and and moreover the heat. Как там у нас было классное выражение? Heat.
in intensity of heat.
Yeah,
Also
the
intense.
intensity of heat. Thank you, Nastya. Yeah, the intensity of heat, and we just can't find any shadow.
Shelter.
Shade,
Cool.
shade, sorry, shade. Yep.
Shade,
Shade.
shades, yeah.
Shades, and
Uh-huh.
so
Mhm.
that's why for me, and moreover, as far as I know, there could be a very strong wind. It has a special
Mhm.
code.
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, no. So, so that's why you just this sand could be in your eyes. So that's why you
Everywhere.
just yes everywhere.
Mhm.
So for me, it's the
Okay.
most difficult and the most challenging place.
Kate, I want you to look at page 142. Think about the column with unusual or impossible statements.
What it,
This is about, again, inverted sentences.
oh,
Yeah, I know. The more we practice, finally you will start using them. So make a concluding emotional statement about what you have just said. Well,
Anta,
and
no,
Mhm,
yep. I'm
mhm.
sorry for interrupting you.
No.
I always my thoughts just go forward without
Uh-huh.
голосование with my head.
Uh-huh.
So under no circumstances
Uh-huh.
could I survive in arid desert, in an arid desert.
In an arid desert. And then, good. Nastya, what about you? So back to the, difficult experiences.
When I open the page, I look at the swamp, and for me,
Mm-hmm.
barely could a person move there
Safely, yeah.
safely
Uh-huh.
when he or she got there, because it's moving on this ground.
Mhm.
Um, is difficult because of very soft and wet ground. Is it ground?
Well, it might be, but not always. Sometimes you wade through water. It's not
Mhm.
really the bottom.
Maybe soft and wet area,
Yeah.
something like this.
Okay.
And it's difficult to find fresh water because you have a stagnant one,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't drink it
Mm-hmm.
because it
Can
can
you
be
can you
spoiled.
can you can you say the same idea about water using scarcely or hardly? Okay, good idea. Turn to page. So,
Mhm.
so, well,
Hardly could a person drink such water. Then he or she would possibly die
Okay,
or
possibly might
or
or
suffer
might.
some diseases, terrible
Yeah.
diseases.
Okay. Or hardly was there any drinking water or yeah, also possible. Right. Yeah, I agree. So these two landscapes probably would be one of the most challenging ones. So when you ladies say, active holidays, what do you mean by active? Is it about exploring wildlife and nature, or is it more about, views, places, and activities? Well, it was
So
Kate who said that we are quite active people. Yeah. So what do you
I
usually mean?
I mean just visiting a lot of different sites, explore new, maybe ancient places, and go on a lot of excursions.
Mm-hmm.
private course. So yes, this
And I
one.
say, and what do you say?
Me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you say?
So I absolutely agree with Ari, but I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
That's okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Mhm. Like some urgent business, definitely. Right. Mhm. Okay. Well, Nastya, are you back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, let's first finish with the question and then we look at the picture.
So for me, it's quite the same. I fond of exploring new places and getting to know. I like getting to know the culture and tradition.
Yeah. So,
City?
well, very often it's not only about wildlife and nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about lots of different impressions, right?
You need to survive a new place too.
Yes, definitely. So, have a quick look at the picture. So, how can you describe the view?
It's just for me, it's just breathtaking view.
Why is that? A breathtaking view. Why is that?
I think even the level of my energy now is higher than it was a minute ago, because I really love all these castles, and I can enjoy ancient buildings like this ancient town, and we can see like a very interesting tower
Mm-hmm.
on the
Mm-hmm.
background. In the
Well, and Nastya, and what appeals to you?
It seems to me that I'm riding a ferry because it's a bird's eye view picture.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I've got the feeling that I will have a lot of adventurous moments in this city.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Interesting people, crowded places, busy
Mm-hmm.
noises.
Mm-hmm. Well, so, well, if you look at the views, what, comes first? Amazing view.
The buildings are quite
Mm-hmm.
maybe old. They are not.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them may be even ancient,
Ancient.
uh,
Yeah.
100 of years,
Okay.
and that is
Uh-huh.
definitely crowd.
Uh-huh. So, this is the page from the book, page 40, and this is definitely Prague, the capital of the Czech Republic. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been a tourist in a place like this? Not necessarily Prague, but maybe St. Petersburg, well, or any other place?
Yeah, I definitely were. I definitely was in St. Petersburg, but when I look at this picture, it just associated with Italy, I think.
With, sorry? Uh-huh.
With Italy.
Italy. Uh-huh. You
So
have
it's great, yes, the great
uh-huh.
combination of modern life, but
Uh-huh.
with uh, with captivation,
Uh-huh.
uh, ancient buildings,
Uh-huh.
and mm, so when people can just bring into their life modern comfort,
Mhm.
but at the same time they really respect their past and
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah. Uh-huh.
really
Well, Nastya, I would ask you to think of something that might be disappointing in visiting places like these, like St. Petersburg, I don't know, Kaliningrad, if you have been there, or any other European cities. full of
Mhm.
history. What could be a disappointing moment?
Sure,
That-
there are a lot of touristic places,
Mhm. Yeah.
and because of the amount of people,
Because of a bit louder, just maybe my
and
connection.
because of the
Uh-huh.
amount of people in this
Uh-huh.
site, you can't estimate properly the beauty or the importance of this or that place.
Uh-huh. You can,
And maybe in at peak tourist season, the prices are too high.
yeah. Mhm,
Can be.
mhm, mhm. Well, okay. Katya, anything to add here? So any
I
other
think,
moments
yeah,
of disappointment that you might experience?
the main point only the crowded places for movers.
Crowded. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay. Well, and let's think a little bit about the words. Like, when we enjoy the views, what other ways of saying, like, what do you do with the views, the sights? Mm-hmm.
And I forgot about scenery. Scenery is about landscape or
Scenery, it's like generally about the landscape and maybe the view in general at large. Like, well, we enjoy them. We can
Yeah, spectacular view.
enjoy the spectacular views, absolutely. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Nothing else.
Well, Nasi,
we need more verbs.
yeah,
What
you
can
used
we
one
do
of the
with the
verbs.
verb?
You used one of the verbs, but I want to make it clear. So, uh-huh.
I forgot what I
Uh-huh.
said.
Well, do you remember the difference between estimate, evaluate, appreciate?
Please clarify.
Estimate,
Estimate is like оценка на будущее.
Yeah, like this is more like
It's your-
calculations. Yeah, calculations.
Yeah.
So what do we do with students?
Even estimate
We
them.
evaluate them or assess them.
Oh,
It's
Assess.
not about like enjoyment, but appreciate, like being grateful that you have something or you enjoy something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's so. Moving on. We here we have, what do we call this piece of information? And where can we find this one? It could be on a tourist website, or there could be as a leaflet in an information point, right? Mm-hmm.
Or
So,
brochures.
mm-hmm. Well, read through very, very quickly. So how much does it appeal to you as a tourist destination? And what do you think you would enjoy the most? So very quickly read through this piece of information. Mhm. What is the most appealing thing about this leaflet, this piece of information?
So for me, the most appealing thing is A romantic castle built in the 9th century with a great view across the whole city.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
even sounds so like a miracle.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. It sounds beautiful, right?
Yeah. So,
Uh-huh.
and of course, I really enjoy the building, the splendid examples of Baroque and I'm not sure,
Renaissance, Baroque and Renaissance.
Renaissance architecture.
Mhm,
So,
mhm, mhm. Well, Nastya, what do you say? What is the most attractive for you? Mhm.
All of these is quite
Uh-huh.
exciting, and
Uh-huh.
it's hard to say what thing most appeal to me, because
Uh-huh.
for sure um, it's obvious that you will have a quite interesting and
Yeah,
enjoyable
enjoyable experience.
experience.
Yeah. Well, in this lesson today, we're going to focus on different ways to describe places on descriptive language that we can use to make it more interesting, more exciting, more attractive for the reader, or if we speak for the listener. If we think of descriptive language in this leaflet, which adjectives make it more, like enjoyable to read, more attractive?
romantic, great,
Romantic, great.
splendid. I'm not sure
Splendid.
about the meaning of this
When
adjective.
splendid is actually the word which you can come across in different literature. Just a second, I'll. And but
Splendid.
it is very often used about history and culture for two reasons. Let me just, my computer is for a reason is quite slow. So look at the word splendid in the dictionary. On the one hand, it's old-fashioned and it means very good, excellent. If you watch historical films, you would definitely come across a lot of a splendid idea, a splendid opportunity, a splendid job. Well, but it's not very modern. But it is still used when we talk about something of a historic value, beautiful, impressive, and more often a splendid castle, splendid views. So in this context, we will still use it as a synonym for great. Okay, so if we are back to the text, so
Stately, magnificent,
magnificent.
sophisticated, diverse.
Yes, it's a very good one. Like diverse nightlife. Very often we use diverse culture or diverse nightlife here. What is meant by diverse?
A lot of activities for you to choose,
Yeah, a
and
lot of
they're quite
variety.
different.
A lot of variety. The reason that we don't have such a word in Russian is that we don't use it very often, but it's a very good word, yeah? A diverse culture, a diverse place, a diverse nightlife. When restaurants are sophisticated, what is meant?
It's quite a strong adjective, a positive one. Excellent, magnificent,
Mm-hmm.
something like this. Sophisticated.
When we talk about taste and quality, it's
Rather
something
high.
high, very complex, yeah. sophisticated views, sophisticated things, like something which is really complex, but in a very, very good way.
It's used to describe, talk about quality. Yeah?
Yeah, well, it's not only sophisticated restaurants, sophisticated views. Oh, he's quite a sophisticated person with good taste, well read, maybe
No,
interesting to talk
we can
to.
say.
So if we think of our B1 plus, B1 level students, so when we teach the word historic, so what do we usually teach? We know that, but we very often have to make it clear for our students that there are two adjectives in the English language, historic and historical. So what is the difference? You know, do we remember that?
Yes, I tried to collect explanation.
So historic city, historic event, something that is the part of history. Historical is about history. Historical film, historical novel, maybe historical study. So sometimes we use the word historical, something that is about history. And more often when we visit places, we talk about historic buildings, historic events, because they were the part of history and they have a long history. Okay. So we are going to listen to two tourists talking about Prague. I want you to look at questions in 2A. So have a quick look before we start listening and be ready to focus on what they say and how their descriptions are different.
Track 2.9. Tony.
I know Prague quite well. I've been there several times. I've got friends who live there. And of course, it's one of the most beautiful cities in Europe. There's the old centre, exceptionally well preserved. It's full of beautiful buildings, all periods of history. And not to mention the Baroque buildings in the old city centre that have been skillfully restored and look stunning. So, yeah, I'd say it's definitely a beautiful city, definitely worth visiting, no question. But there are hordes of tourists. The last time I was there, I went to the Charles IV Bridge, which crosses the river. And don't get me wrong, it's a very beautiful bridge, but it was teeming with people. It was impossible to stop and look at the view or take photos. I'd recommend going outside the main tourist season, though there's not really any time when it isn't busy. I've got friends who live there, and they say they don't go to the old city centre anymore. It's too crowded and too expensive. They go to the other parts of the town. It is a real shame that tourism has made these historic places unaffordable to local residents.
Lola.
I went to Prague last winter and I loved it. It's got such a romantic atmosphere. Beautiful old buildings, the cobbled streets, the squares with the fountains. People say that it's been spoiled by tourism, and it's true in a way. The center gets very crowded, especially in the summer. But if you look beyond that and appreciate the buildings and the old-fashioned atmosphere, it's still really a magical place. The thing I love most in Prague is going up the hill to the castle. I went up the twisty, narrow streets, and then there's the breathtaking view across the old city. Looking down, there's a maze of steep red tiled roofs spread out beneath you. It's like something out of a children's storybook. I took so many photos of Prague. Every corner there's something to take a picture of. It was wonderful.
So, what kind of descriptions do they give? Are they positive and negative?
Mixed.
A mixed one, yeah. So what about Tony? Nastya, what about Tony? What does he say?
So he talked about the city as a
Mhm.
whole and described the bridge. So he said that this city is exceptionally well preserved.
Mhm.
And, it's worth visiting it and seeing all these places. But your journey can be spoiled by
Mhm.
hordes of tourists
Uh-huh.
or
Hordes of tourists.
hordes, yes,
Mhm,
hordes of
mhm,
tourists.
mhm,
And his example was connected with the beach that you wanted to go along, go across it, and the beach was tiny with people.
mhm,
What made difficult for him to do it. And his advice is to visit the city outside the main tourist season. And
mhm, mhm,
he disappointed by the fact that Prague is a touristy place,
mhm.
the center of the Prague, and this fact makes the city center unaffordable for locals.
Mhm. Okay, a very detailed description. Good. Right. So, Kate, I think you have nothing to add about Tony. So, focus on Lola.
So Lola just visited Prague once, so that's why I think she had more positive experience. She just concentrate on positive things. So she mentioned the romantic atmosphere of the city, and but she also mentioned that the city center is overcrowded with tourists. But she tried to look beyond it and appreciate the atmosphere of the city. And the most appealing spot that she visited was as far as I understood, Prague Castle. Prague
Prague,
Castle.
Prague.
Prague Castle. So she really enjoys the view
Mhm, mhm,
from the high point of this castle. Describes the view as breathtaking. And also she mentioned that she took a lot of pictures.
Pictures. So, what do you think? Would they both go back to see the city or not? Why?
For me, it seems that they would go back,
Mhm,
and Tony gives gives the advice what is
mhm,
better to do.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Okay. Well, Katya, do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. I think both of them would
Mhm.
visit Prague one more.
Okay. After listening to them, would you like to see if you haven't been to a place to see the place?
If I had a chance, I would definitely visit Prague.
Mhm.
So by the way, it's I think
I spent
my dream destination.
one day there once, and it was raining heavily, and I want to come back to the city when the weather is good. Because there is one more disappointing thing: tourists, crowds, but when it rains, it's difficult to take pictures
So
and enjoy the views. Well,
them to return here.
yeah, well, I'd love to. You will see. So, uh, now we will focus a little bit on the language. So, look, it's a city and we call it Prague. But remember about the country. We say the Czech Republic because of the word Republic,
Republic.
right? There's the United Kingdom, the Soviet Union, and so on. Like when we have those words, yeah. So I want you to focus again a little bit more on descriptive language. Here you have descriptive phrases they used. Can you match well, part A with part B? Take a moment. You know most of the words. Okay.
I did finish, but I don't know how to finish. So
Well, okay, we are going to listen to them. I want you to check what you have done and identify who said that and what the context was. But one little thing, we know this word. You remember from the previous lesson? And how
Yeah.
do we pronounce it? Teaming.
Team
Teaming
with something.
with something. So let's focus. You might want to underline some of them if it's Tony or if it's Lola, so to make the difference, who says what.
Track 2.9.
We need to.
Tony.
I know Prague quite well. I've been there several times. I've got friends who live there. And of course, it's one of the most beautiful cities in Europe. There's the old centre, exceptionally well preserved. It's full of beautiful buildings, all periods of history. And not to mention the Baroque buildings in the old city centre that have been skillfully restored and look stunning. So, yeah, I'd say it's definitely a beautiful city, definitely worth visiting, no question. But there are hordes of tourists. The last time I was there, I went to the Charles IV Bridge, which crosses the river. And don't get me wrong, it's a very beautiful bridge, but it was teeming with people. It was impossible to stop and look at the view or take photos. I'd recommend going outside the main tourist season, though there's not really any time when it isn't busy. I've got friends who live there, and they say they don't go to the old city centre anymore. It's too crowded and too expensive. They go to the other parts of the town. It is a real shame that tourism has made these historic places unaffordable to local residents.
Lola.
I went to Prague last winter and I loved it. It's got such a romantic atmosphere. Beautiful old buildings, the cobbled streets, the squares with the fountains. People say that it's been spoiled by tourism, and it's true in a way. The center gets very crowded, especially in the summer. But if you look beyond that and appreciate the buildings and the old-fashioned atmosphere, it's still really a magical place. The thing I love most in Prague is going up the hill to the castle. I went up the twisty, narrow streets, and then there's the breathtaking view across the old city. Looking down, there's a maze of steep red tiled roofs spread out beneath you. It's like something out of a children's storybook. I took so many photos of Prague. Every corner there's something to take a picture of. It was wonderful.
Okay, let's see what we have. Well, so what do we have with
preserved.
well preserved? And who said
Indeed.
that?
Tony.
Tony said that.
Oh,
So,
they-
the next word, Nastya, can you say that?
Skillful. Skillfully restored. was
And-
Tony about maybe the buildings.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Well, Katya, what about the next one?
Hordes of tourists.
Uh-huh.
Warning.
Mm-hmm. So, and hordes is the synonym for
I
Crowd.
don't.
crowds. Uh-huh. So we have the same in Russian, yeah? Like a lot of people. And it goes back to history.
I thought it's like is a synonym of tribe. Tribe.
Like
Tribal.
Орда. А мне кажется, вот у нас Орда,
Как
отсюда полчище.
hordes.
Толпы, hordes. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Okay, probably tribes, but this is more about like moving in crowds. Like,
Mhm.
right. Then the next phrase was Kate.
Teaming. Teaming
Mhm.
with people.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
it's like hordes of tourists. When
Uh-huh. And
he mentioned the ancient bridge. So
mhm. Okay. Well, the next word, Nastya, was
Romantic atmosphere. It was
a
Lola.
romantic atmosphere.
Romantic.
And who said that?
Lola was describing the
Mhm.
Prague.
Prague nautical. Right. The next word was
Cobalt.
what?
Roof.
Cobalt.
Streets.
Cobalt. Streets. Yes, sorry. Streets.
Streets.
Yeah.
Streets.
Oh,
So,
streets.
Katya, as a citizen of Moscow, where can you use this adjective when you describe?
The Red Square.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Right. The next word, Nastya. Mhm,
It was Lola was appreciating them from the
mhm,
school.
mhm. And well, the last word, Katya.
And now tiled roof.
And so she said,
Maze of
the
tiles.
maze of red tiled
Red roof.
tiled roofs. So I'll post the recording after the lesson so you can come back to it.
Track
Well,
2.9.
I want to draw your attention to the script, and when we describe something that we like, and I think it was Lola who said that in some part of the script. Look at this one.
The thing I love most in Prague is going up the hill to the castle.
So, and we use those cleft sentences when we change the order. I love the castle the most, like B1 level, B2 level, because it's accurate and everything. But when you emphasize, you put it in the first position in a sentence. The thing I love most in
The verb is
Moscow.
at the end.
Yeah, well, you just change the object and the subject. Yeah, like, and then the order is the same. So, Katya, if I ask you to say something about Moscow in a similar way, how would you do this? The thing I love the most in Moscow
The
is
thing I love most in Moscow is a diverse. Is a diverse.
diverse.
Is a diverse cultural events. Cultural, but cultural and
Life. You can say cultural life because
cultural life.
Moscow offers a lot of cultural events. As a result, cultural life for residents and visitors. Well, Nastya, make up a sentence about Engels. As a local resident, what do you say?
It's hard to say. Just 1 second. The thing I love most in English is the opportunity to live it. Yes,
Okay.
there is the embankment along
Uh-huh.
the Volga River.
Yeah.
It's
I
stunning
think,
view.
yeah, and that you can go for a swim easily. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you can't do it in Saratov, even though you have the river.
And one more thing that
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing
yeah.
I miss most
The most, the thing I missed the most.
about it вот также in Saratov.
No, about, because you
About
you can change
Saratov.
anything here about living in an you know, about Engels. Okay.
About living in Saratov is a small destination between different places.
Uh-huh.
Distance.
Distance.
Distance, yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Small
like
distance, of course.
the way that you can reach anywhere on foot practically. Yeah, like most places on foot. Yeah. Okay. Right. So let's go back to tourism and visiting different places. So, and let's think of what they say. What are good and bad effects that tourism can have on a city, well, a big city like Prague, or maybe on a small town like Engels or city like Saratov, because big cities experience a lot of tourists, while small towns and cities suffer from lack of tourism, right? So, what do you say, ladies?
For sure, one of the advantages is that government tries to preserve the exterior of the city. I don't know, can we say so?
Yeah, yeah. The views, the buildings.
And they try to skillfully restore all the important ones. And it's definitely the advantage.
So, and one more advantage is economic point. So, when tourists come to the city, they just bring money with them. So, and the government can diverse this money. Can we say that?
Distribute,
Allocate.
distribute or allocate.
To allocate this money in order to make the city better.
Use this funding to improve the
To
city.
improve this city, yeah.
Okay. Any other good, any other pluses for local residents or for business?
Well, there are eight.
Okay, and it is as a consequences. I think local people could build up a lot of small business when run a small business.
Yeah, we run business. Yeah.
Run business when they have purpose. Целевая аудитория, purpose.
The target audience.
Target audience.
The target audience.
The target audience. Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you agree with that, Nastya?
There are a lot of opportunities to earn money when you have tourists, but the main advantage is in some places there are big tourist seasons, and of course you can earn money during it, but you need to survive when the season is low.
Yeah. Okay, but nevertheless, the level of services is usually higher in the places where there are tourists. tourists, because there is a lot more competition. Well, what are the disadvantages? So Nastya has mentioned that when the season is low, the funding is limited. So any other problems that we can think of?
So I think one of the greatest problem was mentioned by Tony. I mean, in high season, locals often suffer because due to high price. So I mean, expensive products and so on. And even when I when I spoke with locals in Sochi, they just told me that they usually don't visit touristic attractions and even don't swim in the sea while high season. They just have no time to do it.
In
and
high
they
season,
high season, yeah, they can't afford it.
yeah, they can't afford it.
Because they try to earn money.
Busy
Even-
making money.
yeah.
Well, any other things that we can comment on or predict that can be the negative points?
And crowded places.
Yeah.
So as
Yeah.
for me, it's even for me during New Year period, it's quite difficult to go. It's not difficult to go, but it's difficult to enjoy the atmosphere of the center of Moscow during New Year period.
Too many.
Yeah, despite the fact that everything is really amazing and fun.
Okay. Well, there is a suggestion here. Do you think popular tourist cities should try to limit tourists or charge them to see the city?
Charge?
Take more money.
Take
for
money,
the-
claim
for the-
more money. And if you have noticed this, for example, it used to be like this in St. Petersburg, I know, that for visitors, for tourists, there was one price. For international tourists, there was another price. And the only thing that I have noticed once was in Italy, in cathedrals, that for local residents, it's free of charge. For visitors, they pay a small fee to enter the cathedral. And so what do you think about this? How do people feel if they are charged to see places?
So when you started speaking about it, I've remembered the fact that in Georgia was the same. And of course, I was quite disappointed when I just saw the price and realized that we had to pay more for visiting different attractions.
So, was it discouraging?
Yes, of course.
Were there any places that you decided not to go to because they charged too much?
No.
No.
No, because I just realized that maybe it's the last time when
The only chance to see.
there's the only chance to visit all these places. So that's why I don't think about how to economize.
How to become more
Economic.
economical.
Yes.
How to be more economical. So, Nastya, well, what is your opinion on that?
I think it's impossible to limit the amount of tourists. Because, a lot of people will complain about the fact that they are not allowed to go somewhere because they booked it too late, the trip too late. But for sure, I think it is fair to try to visit some places because if it is a castle, we need to preserve it, the locals, the government, and where should we find the money?
Well, so the money comes from tourists, yeah. Okay. Ladies, have a look at these two nouns in the chat. So when we use the word amount and then
Countable, uncountable.
well, I think you see my point here is that amount is going to be more common with accountable and uncountable. It's the trend in the language, but more often we use number of tourists, number of people. If we speak about our students who are preparing, who you prepare for OGE or YGE, I will teach number with countable, amount with uncountable. Because if we talk about, traditional grammar, then it will be still divided and certain things could be counted as mistakes.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When we're speaking about conditional, I'm not sure that would we say if, for example, if I was a president, I will blah blah blah. In YGE, is it okay, or only if I were a president?
I think it's becoming okay, and it's becoming the norm of the language, especially in speaking.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, I hope. I'm
I'm
not sure about the keys, but I think there should be was a word / the options. Yeah.
I heard the same idea, but I'm not sure.
Here, I just want to point out that if you consult the dictionaries, dictionaries would say that amount is more often used with uncountable nouns, but some examiners might count these things as mistakes. So this is kind of a very subjective thing at lower levels because we teach that to distinguish between countable and uncountable. But still, in speaking, it's okay. Amounts, like it's becoming a norm. Like in Russian, we have this tворог, творог, right? Свекла, свекла. And so language is changing, constantly changing. So we look at the next page, and here we have a traveler's review. So have a look at this traveler's review. And I want you to read through it very quickly. And what further information does it give about the old town, the bridge, and the castle? So take a moment, read through. Mhm. Okay. So we have a little bit more information about the Old Town, Charles Bridge, and the castle. What have you learned about the Old Town from the review? Mhm. Nastya, what do you say?
So we know that architecture is stunning and mind-boggling because
Mhm.
it's a mixture of styles of different
Mhm.
and the same information that is overcrowded,
Mhm.
overrun with tourists.
Uh-huh.
And
When something is mind-boggling, you use the word. Well, what do you think is meant
it's
here?
it's difficult maybe to understand.
Yeah,
Impossible
like
to
very
imagine.
complex, difficult to imagine. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And for sure, it's difficult to go there. Streets are narrow and overcrowded.
Uh-huh. And if you look at the styles, this Gothic, Baroque, Renaissance, Art Nouveau, well, they have this in Spanish, I think, and in Italian. Uh-huh. This is the Russian variant for modern. Because nouveau means new. Yeah, like for you, just if you are interested in culture, so you know how to say these things. Yeah.
And how
Mhm.
can you pronounce it? Could you repeat, please?
I'm not sure about this, the exact pronunciation. I think it's nouveau because it's like the same they have in Italian, and I know the same is in Spanish. Like the meaning is new. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. What about the bridge? Any more details about the bridge? Well, Katya?
So, well, yeah, well, we just find out that the bridge is only pedestrian, only
Uh-huh.
it's a pedestrian zone, and
Yes, it's a pedestrian zone.
moreover, there are a lot of impressive statues, so so-called a must-see attraction, and so you can also there enjoy the music, but and even buy some local, I think, things on stalls selling. So
When
buy,
you travel, do you buy souvenirs, local souvenirs?
of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Most tourists do,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm a usual tourist.
I
So I
know.
try to buy something unique that will be associated with this trip.
Will be a reminder, yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
there is an option for great photos.
well, and what about the castle? Any comments on the castle?
I was
Well,
disappointed with all the spots.
discouraged to go there. But still, it's good to know before.
Yeah.
So negative information is also relevant.
Yeah.
So, Nastya, what is it about? Why Katya was discouraged?
So it's really old from the 9th century. It means it was restored several times with the modern materials, and it's not really old for 100% anymore.
Okay.
but the views are still worth appreciating
Okay.
from
So,
it.
if we think about the complexity of the language, here we have a good tip that sometimes we, not to simplify the language, we can use descriptive language to specify to make accents. So the bridge was lined with stalls, or the bridge was crowded with stalls. Instead of busy streets, here we have an example. The streets were lively, and if we go back to the text, lots of very lively and laid back music, for example. Yeah, when music is laid back, it makes you feel,
Correct.
yeah, Streets were overcrowded. Yeah, like instead of there were lots of tourists, to make it more emotional, to emphasize certain things. So here we have highlighted in this kind of orange or yellow color phrases. I want you to rephrase simple, easy sentences in B and substitute the phrases, from the text, making them more attractive, more interesting. Take a moment, have a quick look. Ready? Good. So let's see, shall we? What about number one? What do we have?
The
Katya.
food was very reasonably priced.
Yeah, very reasonably priced. Well, what about the second one? Nastya, what do you say?
Center is overrun with tourists.
Okay, overrun with tourists. So from the previous interviews, so any other ways of saying this? The center is
Teeming
with
people.
tourists or full of hordes of tourists. There are ways of saying that. Okay. Well, what about number three?
Walking along the streets was a bit of a nightmare.
And we can memorize this as a chunk, a bit of a nightmare. Yeah, like it was a bit of a nightmare, like a collocation. So number 4, Nastya, what do we have here?
Oops.
Mhm. Great photo ops, and ops here is a short for
Options.
opportunities. Opportunities, yeah, like more spoken, yeah. Number 5, Katya, what do we have here?
The restaurant had authentic cuisine.
Authentic cuisine. Okay. When we mean it's authentic, so it's a more sophisticated way of saying traditional or local. Yes, absolutely. Well, number 6. Well, Nastya, what do you have?
It's a must.
A must say attraction, a must do thing. Yeah, like very often we say this and it's good. Number 7, Katya, what do we have here?
The castle isn't much to look at.
Okay, isn't much to look at. And the last one.
The owners really put themselves out for us.
Okay, there were some more phrases in the text that are highlighted, and they're all really good. If we focus on this adjective, so how do we say this?
There is something with the threat.
Okay, so
Hospitable.
hospitable would be British. Hospitable would be American. So if you stick to British pronunciation, then would be hospitable more appropriate than, but hospitable is also, so we talk about, people usually, yeah, but so if you talk about atmosphere at large, you can talk about places as well. I think this one is very useful and helpful when you describe hotels. For many people, it's important. Okay. Oh, like easy, simple, pretty basic, like another way of saying this, which is when something is expensive, it's
Overpriced.
overpriced. And again, another is a way of saying it, but in a more sophisticated way. Okay. Right. So what I want you to look at right now, I have like 2 views of the places I decided to pick for you. And at home, you will be picking, my computer is terribly slow today. Well, I picked 2 places that you can look at and describe using some target language. So this is the street, the old town in Edinburgh, and this is a very famous view in Venice, the Rialta Bridge. Well, can you think of something to use when you describe the views using the language from the unit, from the lesson? So look at Edinburgh first.
Edinburgh.
So we should describe it.
Yeah, I want you to use it as beautiful, well, as if you're writing a leaflet or a post. So why it might be interesting to see or to walk along the Royal Mile.
One by one?
Oh, well, let's do it. Let's focus first on Edinburgh, well, and then Venice. So what can you say about Edinburgh, the Royal Mile?
We can guess that this is the cobbled street. Maybe.
With splendid examples of Gothic and Renaissance,
Ren Renaissance.
Renaissance.
Renaissance,
Renaissance
Renaissance architecture.
architecture. Splendid examples of Gothic and Renaissance architecture.
Yeah.
Well, people don't usually live there. These are all shops. How would you say this? And souvenir shops.
The streets was lined with souvenir shops and capers where you can enjoy the local, authentic cuisine.
Okay. And definitely in the high season, the place would be
Reasonably priced.
overcrowded with tourists, and some places would be definitely
Overpriced.
overpriced. Okay. Right. This is another view, the Rialto Bridge, one of the famous bridges in Venice. Do we know anything about it? There are a lot of tourists and there are a lot of shops. And it's one of the main bridges across the canal. So how would you comment on, what would you say?
There is a great photo ops for photos. No, from the bridge. Great photo ops from the bridge. Of course, at the peak season, it's overrun with tourists.
And not enough room to take a photo.
The view from the bridge is breathtaking.
And
there are
a romantic atmosphere.
Yeah, but the bridge was lined with stalls. And the stalls and souvenirs are overpriced there.
Definitely, or might be possibly overpriced. Okay. And well, for many tourists, it's a must-see attraction. Yeah, like there are certain landmarks of Venice, and everybody wants a picture. Nasta was right. Everybody wants a picture with the bridge. Okay. Well, these are Google Images. Well, these are one of my favorite places. I've been there and I love them, but I was kind of busy and lazy to, to look through my photos. So I just Googled the images. So what I want you to do, I want you to think of some interesting images, maybe somewhere you have been to, or maybe something you would like to see, and prepare a speaking task for each other. Something like this. You Google the images or pick your own pictures, and your partner will be challenged to use the language and describe them. And you will tick the language, saying, good, well done, excellent. Yeah, this will be something that I want you to do, to be creative and prepare something for each other, well, to comment on the language. And again, the recommendation is, when you see interesting descriptions or when you Google things, well, certain chunks of language are collocations or fixed expressions. We really, use them the way they are in context. And there is another point that I wanted to make, because I was kind of checking the resources and the periods, and I found that for our students, this Britannica Encyclopedia would be really helpful if you want a bit of a history, or you want to clarify something for your tourists. What I like about this encyclopedia is that the comments are really short, simple, sometimes even better than Wikipedia. So, and I think this resource is really good when you need some basic facts for your students, you know, for presentations or lots of stuff that sometimes schools want students to do. Kata, do you have
Mhm.
anything like this when your students have to make projects or things like this?
I'm trying to do something like this.
Yeah,
but
because I think the problem
it's-
is with the complexity of the language. When they Google things very, very complex and exceptionally difficult. And
Yeah.
sometimes the teacher has to simplify to make it clear, accurate, and simple. Mhm. So, well, I hope that you will enjoy the rest of the weekend. Feel better, restore the energy, and let me know what you think about the Saturday, and hope to see you next week.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.